And hi, everyone. Welcome to Lectora Live. We are just doing our pre-show right now. We're going through some of the shots. We've got with us today Brandi Bizek from Minnesota. And I can't say it's cold today. It's actually warm out there today.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Well, it is Land O'Lakes, right?
10,000.
You know, it's funny.
It's more shoreline here than California.
I believe it. It's funny. I was up in Central California one time and shocked. We get up there and half the farms are Land O'Lakes. I was going,
really?
Wait a minute. Land O'Lakes is Minnesota. No, they've outsourced some of their farming and I guess milk, cheese, other things to California. I was actually shocked that they have licensed Land O'Lakes farms.
Well, don't they have commercials out now that's, happy cows or something about California?
Yeah, we've always had the happy cows. Yes, happy cows are in California. That's propaganda. It's not true. They're very unhappy, actually.
I don't know.
We're very heavily taxed.
They don't frolic in the daisies? That's what they keep saying.
That's what they keep saying. You find some daisies, with our government cutting our water supply down to nothing. We used to buy water, but not anymore. I guess we have other issues like paying for people who don't do much. So that costs us like $25 billion a year. So there's no water purchase anymore. So as a result, we're in a drought. It seems like we're in a permanent drought nowadays, but we don't have any water because they don't buy it. So yeah, our cows are not that happy.
Poor cows.
They don't graze.
They should
much.
come back. Come back.
They should. They just make a little beeline up the freeways, and it should be interesting. All right. So let's see. So all the shots are good right now. Yep. We are good. All right. So we are going to start the show recording now. In 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lectora Live, your inside track into Lectora. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today we've got with us Brandi Bizek, and she'll be on in just a moment. Here we go. Back. Well, joining me today is Brandi Bizek. She is a senior e-learning developer, has done a lot of work with Lectora and some other tools. And hey, Brandi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. I know we've had a hard time getting a hold of you throughout. You're busy. You're a busy person.
Yes, I had major project work at the beginning of the year that actually just launched last week. So I kind of have some more downtime. It was insane amount of work.
I guess it's good when it's finished, though.
It's a relief. It's a relief. Then you just kind of like dropping a bomb. Like you kind of go, oh, now what's the aftermath going to be? The tickets coming in. Is it not working? Is it? And so far, no tickets. So we're good.
That's good. Now, you've been working with Lectora quite a while. How'd you get into that?
Way back, I started at a company that was the tool of choice. And before that, I had been working with exclusively Flash, Captivate, at the early stages of Captivate when it was Adobe Connect, way long time ago. And Articulate. And they had Lectora, so it was a crash course to a new tool, and I just stuck with it, and I really like it. And now I'm on Lectora Online. And anytime that I go to a new company, they always ask me what tool I want to use, and they always assume I'm going to say Storyline. And I always say, I appreciate that that's a good tool, but I would prefer to use Lectora, and typically they get me what I need. So yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been a good one.
It's interesting. Yeah, we use Storyline a lot, and it's a good tool.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Lectora doesn't have a lot of limitations, which I find in just about all the other tools. We use Captivate quite a bit, and that has other issues. It's got the buggy issue.
Yes.
But Lectora's been solid. We find that throughout the years, it's just been powerful. and it keeps getting better and better. I like some of the features they keep adding to it. Now, what made you go to online?
It was just the tool that they had when I changed companies. So the nice thing about online is it does give you that option to share files really easily, which was something that was important for the team that I was on. What I can say, when people ask me why Lectora over Storyline, the only thing I can really think of is I kind of think of Lectora as a developer's tool, and Storyline has been a great tool in the industry for instructional designers.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't have the skill set to bring in extra files or maybe custom content, and they need the ability to make that work. Then Storyline's a great tool. So that's sort of always the justification for why I choose Lectora when I move companies. But the company that I'm now at, that's what they were already using. They were just using it online for ease of review, ease of sharing. It's a lot of collaborative work, so it worked out for us.
It's interesting because also one of the things I like a lot about Lectora is the navigation portion, where you just don't run into a lot of problems and it's almost totally automatic. That is just sweet, because on a lot of tools, they don't quite work well on navigation, or they have issues, or like with Captivate, a lot of people run into, especially when you're trying to train people, stopping timelines, moving timelines. People get so confused by timelines, especially when it's buttons on timelines. And
when I train, we have a team of instructional designers, and when I train them, when those that kind of want to move into the development side of things, that's the dividing point. Either you think in terms of timelines, or you can think nonlinear, like in terms of like hierarchy and building something from top level, next level.
Right.
That seems to be the dividing point. So it's what your work preference is. If you really need that timeline, Lectora is going to be harder for you to learn.
Yeah, it's funny. I like timelines because I do a lot of video editing, and I've been involved in video for like 20 years. Plus, I've done Flash, and we've done Captivate. And I like timelines. They're okay, but
They're
I could see where people get messed up if they're not quite sure. Flash was the same way. Flash got people really confused when he went out to movies. You call a movie, and all of a sudden now you're at a different timeline. And people would go, huh? How did I go from this to that?
Right. Yeah.
And Flash was a little confusing in the way they did that, especially for people just starting out. Even I'll never forget, we had a graphic artist one time this is when Flash started really switching over to more action script.
Yes.
And I walk in the morning, he's sitting there with his head down. They broke it. I go, what do you mean? They just broke it. It doesn't work anymore. I go, what do you mean it doesn't work? It's all code now. I go, oh. And for a while, they deprecated all of the graphic design tools, and it was all code. And it was hard for the graphic artists to start working on it like they used to, because now they really had to know a programming language. And then I think it took them like 4 versions, and they finally went back to, oh, right, graphic artists use this more than programmers. So it was interesting.
Yeah. I remember around that time where it's like, okay, well, I have to quickly learn ActionScript, and that was the scramble at that point. Everyone scrambling to pick up ActionScript, and you're basically running a whole program in one frame, and it was a good time.
It was a good time. I've only worked a little bit with Lectora Online, and I actually do like the way it does things. One thing I'm hoping they do, I know I've made a feature request, and I know others have too, is that we also be allowed to store it on our servers rather than theirs. I would love that, because then we have it's faster then, because then it's already online with us, and then we can control the content real easily. But they'll get there. I think you can still share content pretty easily, even the way it is. That's just my old IT background coming out saying, I want control of it. Mine. I want to give it out. But
I haven't run into too many issues with, as far as where the files are held. I've worked on different networks and different places here. I've never run into an issue, but I don't have the IT background either. I look at it more as a...
No, there's really not an issue. It works pretty well.
Yeah.
In fact, what surprises me always is how fast it is. For an online tool, half the time I forget I'm not in desktop. And that's actually pretty amazing. That's some pretty good coding because there's a lot of stuff going on in Lectora, and you can't really tell. At least I don't find it very slow. I find it fast on online. We use mostly desktop in here, but we've been thinking about should we just go to online. It's a thought. We're debating it because we do have kind of a team environment, and it makes it a little more complex sometimes having to share files or check things in and out. You can't really on desktop. So online buys you.
I've never had an issue with latency. It's been great. And we use a lot of video and incorporate a lot of big media assets that it's never choked. It's been great. I have no complaints about how responsive it is when you're in there working on it. I agree. You forget that you're not on a desktop application, but it's been great.
It is interesting. Now, you just said the magic word. Everybody's talking about it. Responsive.
Oh, yeah. LO did get the responsive course design. I'm not sure if desktop got it. I think they have it now, but I think
they both
LO
have
got
it
it
now.
First.
I think as of end of the year, they both had it. And it works well on both. Actually, it works really well. Have you had a chance to play with it at all?
Minimally, because the course that I was designing was it's not intended for anything other than a computer, so I didn't dig into it then. So I really haven't had too much time to really play with it, but I know that I will, because that's where we're going. That's where everyone's going. So
when you do, it's actually fun. It's actually pretty cool how simple they made it, and I think they're even getting it patented because it's a very unique approach to responsive. Most of the stuff out there is adaptive, which basically means you create it 3 times, and so you have your. That's how a lot of them go. It's kind of like, think of Adobe Muse, where you have your desktop version, you have and there are some similarities, but basically you're kind of redesigning your screens, and that's the adaptive part of it. But the way they do responsive is really responsive. I mean, it's smart. It knows what you need to do, and it allows you to hide, show things depending on where you are, and it does it automatically. It's kind of more of a matrix approach. It's just very cool the way they did the I would call it the math to do all that. There's a lot of work involved in what they're doing on the back end, and yet you'd never know. It just runs smoothly.
Yeah, it's always nice when things just work.
Just work, and you have to think about it. Well, that's been Lectora forever. We've been on Lectora for about 10 years, and that's kind of the way it's always been. It's always been just sort of, it works. Don't really worry too much about a lot of other stuff, and there are bugs every so often, but we don't run into them daily, and that's a nice thing.
I think the biggest issues that I've ever encountered with Lectora published files, or even, this is back with the desktop version, was Internet Explorer is like the bane of my existence.
Yes.
So, as long as we can encourage people away from that browser, we're fine.
And I think slowly but surely, IT departments are finally opening up to Firefox, to Chrome, to... I'm a Firefox liker. I've always liked Firefox. Chrome is okay, just not one of my favorites. They're all WebKit based. And the new browser that Microsoft came out with, which is Edge. It's not bad. It's actually fairly quick, and it's really weird when you get mistakes on Edge, the Chrome errors. So you go, wait a minute. So I keep wondering if
who
they
are you stealing from here?
I keep wondering if they embedded the Chrome version of WebKit in it, because it sure sounds like it. Of course, nobody's saying anything, but we literally get Chrome error messages whenever Edge does something bad. And you go, wait a minute, this is Edge. Oh, that's cute. You never know. So, but Chrome's fast, but it's also kind of minimalist, and there's not a lot to it. That's why I like Firefox. You get a lot of add-ons and choices, and it just seems to work okay. But that's been the bane of Lectora Trivantis's life too, because the browsers are not consistent. None of them.
Yep. And then when you have, previously I worked for a company that was almost 100% franchised. So anyone that we were sending content out to via an LMS were accessing it differently, and we couldn't control that because they were franchises. So that was not fun, and it continues to be a problem in that environment when you can't control it, when you can't enforce an IT standard. And it's until the browsers want to catch up and we want to standardize where we're going with HTML5 and all of that stuff, it's still going to be a headache.
Well, we had a great browser issue about 2 days ago. I guess there were some updates. Firefox had an update. Chrome had some sort of update. Edge. All the WebKit browsers, they're based on WebKit. Our Outlook calendars don't work anymore. It's just all gone. Mine still works because I didn't upgrade my Firefox. For some odd reason, it didn't do an auto upgrade on me, and I went, oh, good. But everybody else who was on Firefox, gone. Everybody else on Chrome and Edge, gone. But it works on IE. Of course it would.
Weird.
So I'm waiting for the fix to happen. And we had to update our Exchange server. Lots of updates. No, that didn't fix it. So it's a browser problem. And something changed in the browser that makes the Outlook web access just a little bit different. And everything works except the calendars. They just show up blank. And you just go, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's fun. And
you're at their mercy. Like, there's not a lot you can do except wait for them to figure it out and fix it.
Yeah, and they will. It's just how long will it take? Or is it a simple fix, or does anybody even know there's a problem? But it hit us right away, and there's things on the web saying, you need to update your Java. Oh, geez. So now you have to go out and find every computer, make sure Java's right. But they didn't tell you what version to update to. It's like, that's so typical. But yeah, I remember in the old days when we used to call Lectora for support on certain things, mostly browser issues. They said that's really 99% of the problems they have are browser-based. The HTML is not 100% compatible sometimes. Not what they do. They're pretty standard. But it's the browsers that kind of deviate, and good luck. Well, you've seen it. We've all lived it.
Oh, yeah. And it's tough sometimes, because sometimes the answer is just, it's not going to work on that browser. Sorry.
I know.
Find something else. Well, I don't know. I don't have anything else. I don't know how to install that. And then it's the workarounds of giving them the job aids to install something new, and just hoping, crossing fingers that they have admin rights to do that. And it's a fun thing to have.
One time we were doing, not a demo, we were doing a beta of a product that we had developed for one of our clients, a big pharma company. And we went into their conference room. We had everything set up. We logged in and we launched it. And half the screen was gone. And we went, and it was gone badly. I mean, things were missing everywhere. We went, oh my God, what happened? Well, they were using IE6. Like IE9 is out. And I was like, IE6? Of all things. And this is a very modern pharmaceutical. And I went, IE6?
So were you able to get them upgraded?
No, they didn't. Not that year, but Lectora had a little snippet of code that you could put in, and it fixed it. I went through.
Oh, nice!
It was so good. It was just a little simple. You put it right in the header area, and that fixed the formatting issues that showed up on IE6, because we literally were sitting there, I think, sweating like 5 pounds of just like, oh my gosh, this is
like
bad.
I would cry.
And they're looking at us like,
forget it.
Yeah, right. It's a browser issue. I go, we always ask, and for some odd reason with you guys, we didn't, thinking you guys are on the forefront of everything. We don't have to ask you guys. Wrong. Assumption.
IT always has their reasons. Sometimes if they have a software that hasn't kept up with updates, and like SharePoint will only work on this version, so we're not upgrading until we upgrade SharePoint, and
I have a 20-something plus year IT background, and I've been a VP of IT in companies, and IT usually doesn't do their job, which is why they stay so far behind. That's really what it is. They're lazy. A lot of times, so it's all about security. No, it isn't, because half the time the newer browsers are more secure. They're just lazy. They don't want to move. It's safe to stay where you're at, but as a result, you kind of hamstring the rest of the organization because everything is becoming so browser-based.
It really is. It really is. Like, we have Adobe Creative Cloud that works 50% of the time, and I don't necessarily blame the Creative Cloud, maybe partially, but a lot of it is just the infrastructure in the network at our company is not up to speed, really. So
Interesting. Yeah,
we run
Creative
into
Cloud-
issues, and there's nothing I can do except hope that makes it onto the docket for the next
Yeah.
fiscal year.
And Adobe's a little better with their logins, but it used to be really bad with Creative Cloud. You constantly have to log in. The nice thing is you can have it on 50 computers, and every time you go wherever you're at, you can immediately get to your content. The problem is you're constantly logging in and out. Okay, I can live with that, but it is sort of a pain. And in the old days, you had to log in and out no matter what you did. It was always confused. So it's gotten a little bit better as far as confusion goes. So.
But that's one thing, like the biggest issue right now with Creative Cloud is the fonts, not recognizing fonts.
I've heard about
and
that.
For certain companies, the font is their brand. And if you can't get to the font, you're kind of dead in the water. And that's another thing with Lectora that's one feature that I've requested as well is the ability to expand the fonts that you can use. And I know that they have a workaround. They've worked with me. They're very responsive to requests. So hopefully it's coming, but in Lectora Online, you don't necessarily have, without a lot of workaround, there isn't really a way to expand that font set to put something in that you need.
Right. Yeah, I think we've asked for some of that too because, well, there's a thing that I consider it a bug, and it's not really a bug. It's just a design thing. But when you're working in a team environment, you've probably run into this. On desktop especially, but I think you get the same problem online. And that's, let's say you define your style, and your style has, just let's say Helvetica or Arial 24 for titles. And then you've got something else, let's say Arial 18 for subtitles, and maybe Arial 16 for your body text. And then you go to another computer, and they have a different style set up on their machine. They just overrode your style. Every machine that opens it screws up the other person's style. And the only workaround is to export the style and re-import it. But by then, the damage has been done.
Oh, yeah.
And that
changes spacing. It changes
everything. It
Yeah.
does. And so we're very, very careful with that one. We try we try to have only one person open a file at any one time. It's not easy because it's so easy to forget that.
And I don't think that happens in Lectora Online.
Not on online? They actually have it working okay?
I haven't had that issue, but then again, I haven't really taken note of it, but everyone kind of has the same style because it's for our brand. So
maybe that
I really don't think that's an issue in Lectora Online.
Yeah, that's good. Because on the desktop, that can be an issue. Well, it is an issue. I think they're going to look at it because they were talking about attaching the style to the project, and then you never have a problem. It's always...
Right.
The only problem you might have is if one computer has a font that the other one doesn't have, it'll probably have to give you a warning notification or something saying, font missing.
Yes, and it does.
And it does, which is good. But I'm hoping that's one of the changes. But actually, they may have changed it. I've been asking for that for a while. And every time I turn around, John Blackman puts in stuff that we've been asking for. And if you don't read those release notes real carefully, it's like, oh, right, he fixed that.
Yeah. They're really good about that.
They are. I've been asking for a fade for a long time, and I said, come on, online needs a fade. And all of a sudden, there's a fade now at the page level. I went, oh, he did it. Just noticed that, go, cool, finally a fade at the page level. Because all the objects can fade and do everything, but the pages had some limitations, but that's gone. So they're adding all sorts of good stuff.
One thing that I'm hoping and crossing my fingers for is upgrades to how you incorporate audio and syncing events to that audio. So let's say you have a placeholder audio in there, you've synced your events. It's not timeline based, it's time code based, but there's no timeline to visibly see where everything is. So you replace that audio, you have to resync everything. It doesn't hold on to that time code and just apply it to the new audio file. So that's like, ugh. Yep.
I know we've been through that, especially when you have really audio heavy files. I suspect you guys do a lot of audio.
Yes. Which, if we start moving to more responsive course design, you kind of can't do that because not only do not all tablets have audio capability in a franchise environment,
true,
but that autoplay audio mobile devices don't like that. They've blocked that for data preservation.
Right.
So if you have an autoplay like you would on a computer, like this page loads and the audio starts playing, you have to put some kind of user interaction to trigger that. And
well, there is a workaround. What you could do is put some HTML code or some code that checks the device for Wi-Fi on. And if Wi-Fi on, then autoplay should be no issue. But if Wi-Fi off, then good luck.
Right. And almost a lot of what we do is they'll, depending on how we launch it, if it goes through the LMS, then that would work. If it goes through another add-on, I guess, server kind of thing, then they can play it locally.
Oh, okay.
There's so many variables and everyone has their own situation, but that sounds like a great workaround if you know for sure that they're in an environment that will work.
Right. And of course you've got to check, because is it iOS? Is it Android?
Exactly.
Is it, because they're all going to have a different set of code for Wi-Fi on, Wi-Fi. I want to bring that up as a request. That might not be a bad one. Check to see if the device has Wi-Fi on, so you could do data without having to get permissions and all that, because you're right, it will freeze you right on the spot if you don't. You won't get anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's not fun. A lot of the if you notice, a lot of the applications now on phones especially, they say work only in Wi-Fi or sync only when Wi-Fi is on. Like I have my email and I say, no, just sync anytime, because I have my data program and my Wi-Fi. And I don't want to be limited just by Wi-Fi, because I may not be around Wi-Fi. But they do give you the option, but not all apps give you that option. So that's one of those you have to be a little careful with. Those are cool problems to fix, though.
Yeah. I think that, and it's also one of those things where it's really program by program if you want the audio in there.
Yep.
I know that if I'm looking at something on my phone, for example, which we rarely author for that size of screen,
right,
but
too small.
let's just pretend.
Yep.
I don't want audio because I don't know. I just don't. I want to see the information without having to listen to it. I don't want to sit through it. I want to be able to scan for what I want, read it. Here it is. Right. So I think that the landscape of design and those decisions are changing.
Yeah. It all evolves, and it evolves quickly.
Yes, this seems to be, like, I would say in the past 6 years, it's been
fast.
A lot of change.
A lot.
That not only is companies in the industry kind of playing catch up, but the skill set of instructional designers and the division between developers and designers is starting to be more defined, and it's just the whole industry is changing, and it's been interesting to be a part of, for sure.
It's rough on the instructional designers, because usually in the colleges they don't really teach them a lot of practical stuff. Not all of them. Some of them do, but not many. And they also don't teach them a lot of development, and they get stuck when they get into a company, whereas they used to write, now they're developing. And they're not developers, a lot of them, and it's tough on them.
For sure. That's why I feel like there's that hard line that's really being divided now. And I sort of backed into the industry. I come from a video production background, and multimedia background, where I was a teacher at a technical college doing multimedia instruction, and that was with my video background. I used to work for a company called Sonic Foundry.
Oh, you did?
Yes. So
Vegas.
What did you say?
Vegas.
Yes, I love Vegas.
Well, it's funny. I just interviewed. You probably know him. You probably know Michael Bryant.
It's been years. I'm talking. I was there before Sony bought him out.
So was he. He was the marketing director.
Okay. I don't remember. I'm sorry. It was so long
and
ago.
how about?
I want to say it was 2000.
Yeah, that was right around when Vegas started. I think it started in 99, but then about 2000, 2001, it became popular.
Yep.
That's funny. And we did SoundForge, and I've done Vegas for 16, 17 years.
Yeah. Acid.
Acid was cool.
Yeah.
That was a no. We're not talking about drugs, people.
No.
It was called Sonic Foundry Acid. Well, they just got acquired by Magix Software, Magix, in Germany. So they bought out all of Sony's creative media group. They bought Vegas, Sonic Foundry, Acid, all of them. And it'll be interesting. There's a new version coming out of Vegas in September. And Vegas was an awesome editing tool. To this day, most of the editing tools do not have the power of Vegas. It's interesting.
I agree, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. Like, you just don't know.
You're not crazy. It's true. It's sad,
I've used
but true.
Avid. I've used Final Cut. I mean, I've used them all. And so far, I maybe I'm just biased, but I always stick with Vegas.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't like the interface anymore. It's getting old.
Yeah.
And they know that. I think Magix is going to redo it, so hopefully it turns out a lot nicer. And rendering was a little poor at the end. They just didn't keep up the last, I'd say, 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And that was Sony's fault.
On the back burner for them. I think Sony didn't make it a priority.
No, they didn't. They didn't even know they owned it. So that's the funny part. I mean, I've been to trade shows. We talked about this with Michael. I said, I go to a trade show and ask the Sony guys there, hey, what kind of a video editing tool do you recommend? They go, I don't know, Final Cut Pro, Avid, Premiere. I go, what about Vegas? What's that? You own it.
Yeah, Premiere used to be one of those throwaways. Like, it was kind of like, and then Apple decided to sort of screw up the whole Final Cut thing. And so Premiere really stepped in and took over, and they've done a lot. I have to say that I have to give props to Adobe.
They have done a lot. I still hate it personally, but that's only from years of hate. So I use it, though. I do use Premiere. Yeah. Just not as much. I've actually been getting into DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, I don't know.
It's free. Download it. With your video background, go download it. You're going to see a lot of Vegas in there.
Really?
And it's free. There's a pay version for about $1,000, but that's only if you're really doing cinema stuff.
Yeah.
And, that's a whole other world. But they have the best color correction out there. It's node-based, and you can do all sorts of stuff with it. But see now, folks, we're geeking out on video stuff. So... Anyway, we've just left Lectora for a couple minutes, but we'll be back.
And we're back.
It happens.
So, talking about the industry, I feel like I kind of backed into it on the technical side. So I agree with you. I really do feel for those people that get into the industry as an instructional designer, and they're not necessarily prepared for the direction that the industry is going. And that's where that divide is. And we've kind of made that divide on our team now, where we have a set of instructional designers who handle leaders guides, writing, designing, planning, job aids, that sort of thing. And they have a lot of work to do, and it's valuable work. And then from there, it gets sort of filtered to us, the technical stuff and the things that need development into the LMS, into any video portals. That sort of work kind of gets funneled into the developer's queue. So there is that divide, and I think some people welcome it because they don't necessarily want to be in the e-learning development role, and so they didn't get into training to do that. So we really are starting to see the division, and better or worse, it is what it is. And I would think that a lot of technical colleges would benefit from providing sort of a certification for development.
Right, but they don't.
No, although, I used to work I was a faculty member at a tech school locally, and I've been talking to them, trying to encourage them to get a certificate going, because, there are those instructional designers who really want to get into it. And there's nothing other than piecemealing it together on, I'm going to take this course and that course and watch Lectora webinars. There's not a lot that's, set up where they get to the end of it. Now I have a certificate.
Right.
I'm qualified to do X, Y, and
what
Z.
they do right now is they just struggle through it. And for some of them, it's really hard. And I don't think it's a fair place to put them either, because that's not what their training's been usually. But they figured, okay, you're an instructional designer. Here's any tool. Go learn it and go develop this course in 2 weeks.
And chances are it's not something that they want to do.
No.
They want to be on the design side, the thought leadership side, where they're consulting with stakeholders about, training gaps and things like that. They don't necessarily want to be on that side that they consider probably more IT or, more creative. Not that it's not creative to write, but it's a different world. It just is.
It is. And, when we started out in multimedia, which was actually it was way before that, but in '95, our company went totally multimedia and e-learning. And we had authors, we had instructional designers, we had graphic artists, and now they've put all of that into and video people, and now that's been put into one person.
Yep.
And
yep. It's almost like anyone with an iPad is now a video producer.
Yeah, I know. And they do some amazing things sometimes with the iPads, but it's not the same. There's a lot more to it, and especially if you're trying to, do things that go out there, and you'd be surprised how many even video people don't know how to compress video. It's just not something that they learn. So, you get a video and it's 400 megabytes and you go, no, it's a bit big. Mm-hmm. And then you use either something like Sorensen Squeeze or Handbrake, and now you've got that 400 megabyte file goes down to 40 or 20, and you just go, wow. And it looks darn good. So that's kind of fun stuff. So for all you Lectora people watching the show wondering what the heck we're talking about, video. It's going to hit you before you know it. So pay attention, because video is coming, and big time.
Yeah, and I use a lot of it. Like right now in the course that I just published, I would say 90% of it is video, and I created those videos in Flash and just exported to MP4, and then you compress it and bring it in and stream it. You autoplay on the timeline or the on the page, and because of the new syncing ability that they've put into Lectora Online, where you can sync to video, it just opens a whole new world. It's awesome. So it's been really, really good since this newest update to incorporate video into Lectora, and it never chokes. I'm very impressed with
and there's more stuff, and there's more
application.
stuff coming, which it's kind of exciting. Some of the stuff that they're thinking of. So just keep your eyes open. That's all I could say.
I guess it's not Flash anymore. Now it's Animate.
But Animate hasn't gone anywhere. So I don't know.
That's what they call it. It's not Flash anymore. They incorporated, what is it? Adobe Edge.
Animate, but then they changed.
And Flash are now one.
Yeah, but Edge Animate's gone, and now it's just what something Animate, or is it just Animate?
Just Animate, and then Flash.
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting, and it's generating HTML5, right?
Yes, it can. Yeah. It's one output. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I still think Adobe may be into their death throes at the rate they're going, because their quality is dropping big time. They have moved all development offshore, and good luck to them. That's all I can say. Good luck to them.
Their support's not great, yeah.
They have no support. And Photoshop is now crashing all over the place. Never used to crash. Muse, buggy. And Audition, which I used a lot, is now crashing or giving you really weird. My ears almost got blown out yesterday by Audition. I had a very kind expletive for them on that one. I mean, literally just sitting there, all I did was change one thing by 2 dB, and it exploded on me. And
go back to Vegas.
And I was frustrated. But that was in Audition, which is usually a pretty good video, audio recording tool. Mm-hmm. They're starting to have issues, and that's a big concern. So we'll see if they can get their act together, or maybe fire some people at the top. I don't know. But they're deserving of some of that. But anyway, well, Brandi, this has been a real pleasure meeting you. I've heard a lot about you, but finally meeting you and talking a little bit. Of course, we've fallen totally in love with you now that we know your ex-Sonic Foundry in Vegas and everything. That's like, okay. You're on the Christmas list. You're definitely.
I get a Christmas card?
Yeah, you get more than that. So, anyway, well, stay on the line. Don't hang up yet. And if you're watching the show live on YouTube, subscribe. Give us your feedback. We'd like to hear from you. If you're watching the recordings on Vimeo, definitely subscribe. And again, give us feedback. Tell us what you think, and we'd love to hear from you. Well, have a good one, everyone. And Brandi, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time, and we'll see you next week on Lectora Live. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.